Ashe.
Hey everybody, welcome to our manifestation, the Alchemy of Manifestation webinar. So excited. This is Zoe Flowers chiming in, and one of the co-creators of Solstice Soul Shifting, along with co-maestra G Love and Nzinga. So I'm going to turn it over to you, G.
Hey everybody, welcome. I appreciate seeing you all here who are on the call, and I appreciate seeing you with third eye, those of you who are watching the recording or vibrating in through the ethers. This is Dr. G Love contacting you from the equator, and we're representing for Soul Shifting Retreats at soulshiftingretreats.com. You can find a lot more information and photos and videos and really get a vibe on what we're doing as global healers, because we have come together today to discuss the alchemy of manifestation. And the alchemy of manifestation is really a profound topic that covers, honestly, can cover our entire lives. And it's very much about shifting the soul. When we shift the soul, we are shifting into a new way of manifesting. And as a group, most importantly, and this is the focus for us as soul shifters, and we have 3 soul shifters here, Zoe Flowers, Nzinga, Erika Totten, and myself, Dr. G Love. We are here to help shift the soul of the planet, to assist in shifting the soul of the collective, of the ever-awakening collective. And in order to do that, we have to really call forward our powers of manifestation. We are manifesting a new paradigm generation on the planet. Hashem Menachon Namaste Hotep. Nzinga, beloved.
Hi, everybody. I am just in awe of how many people are joining us, and also what we're about to dig into, and being able to share my experience of being in Ecuador and experiencing so much of what my spirit knew existed in the world. And in many ways feeling as, and knowing that I manifested myself being in that space. And literally learning about it 2 weeks before, when Zoe was like, you need to come to Ecuador right after I got home from Cuba. And I was just like, okay. Knowing Zoe and following the Black Witch Chronicles, and really being connected soul to soul in the dream realm with these women. In so many ways, my spirit just remembered my tribe, and I found them. And I just trusted. And so I'm excited to talk about manifestation. I'm excited to talk about visioning, and how we move in alignment with our vision as a protocol of manifesting. So excited to answer questions and to share my experience. So yeah.
Great.
And I want to add, because I had family on the call that are like, who is Nzinga?
Oh.
That was also an experience that I had in Ecuador, that I'd love to be able to share, either in part 1 of this call, or if we meet again, in discussing manifestation. But that was a critical point in my healing journey of being renamed. It happened in the Mesa Lodge before left.
And I know that we are going to start with a meditation to kick us off, but I just want to, because you talked about trust, and so I want to make sure that we circle back around to trust when we're talking about manifestation, because so much of manifestation is about following that urge and trusting that urge and following that. So I want to make sure that I'm saying that for myself too, not to lose that piece, because it's such an important part about manifesting. All right, I'm gonna put my glasses on so I can go. Great. So welcome to everybody that's on the call. And we will ask folks to mute themselves if you're not speaking. But we want to say hey to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. Welcome, Chinyer. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Okay. So we'll wait for G to come back and then we'll start our meditation. Yeah. So I'll ask everybody to just, while we're setting up, just to make sure that you don't have anything in your hands, make sure that you're not distracted, make sure you're sitting somewhere comfortable, somewhere that supports your seat and your back. As we prepare, hi, Carol. Making sure
Hello,
that
how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good. I'm going to ask you to just put yourself on mute just for a little bit. Thank you. And if anybody wants to know what's happening in the chat, if you put your cursor over the bottom of your screen, right next to share screen, there's a little field there that says chat, so you can put messages in the chat if you like. You can also use gallery view, which makes it like a little Brady Bunch picture, so you can kind of see everybody that's on the call. That's in your top right-hand corner. If you click gallery view, that'll change your view. And if you choose the standard speaker view and you want to see everybody, there's a little blue arrow on the right-hand corner of the right hand of the screen. And if you click that, that'll scroll through so you can see everybody that's on the call. So, okay, G, you ready? Great. Great. So you have yourself on mute, so I guess that means you want me to do the meditation?
She's such a meditation master.
You think
I mean, I know heavy is the head that.
Oh, okay, I'll do it. Let's do it.
Okay, I mean, I am holding space. To be clear, we are meditating together. So I will introduce you and introduce our meditation.
Okay.
Beloved soul shifters, beloved members of this harmonic convergence, because we are a harmonic convergence. Every time we come together with the intention to connect with our tribe, to connect with like-spirited people, every time we do that, we ourselves are a harmonic convergence. We are the stuff that stars are made of. We are the stuff that planets are made of. And when our lineages come together, we bring all of our ancestors. Each person here is sitting here with an auric field, a halo of ancestors, of guides, each and every one of you. The hairs are standing on my arm as I say it, because this harmonic convergence of like-spirited souls coming together with a shared intention is profound. And I'm very, very, very grateful to each of you, to all of your ancestors, your guides, your ascended masters and your teachers, your animal totems, whatever you have with you. I appreciate you for choosing to be part of this harmonic convergence, because our energies really feed in. Even those of you who are watching the recording, your energies are feeding in, because we're not working in a sense of linear time. We're working with the power of what happens when collective consciousness begins to come in harmony in a field that has been dissonant for a long time. And you all know what I mean when I say the field that we're operating in, until very recently, has been very dissonant. And we are the generation that's actually got enough numbers, enough critical mass to finally be able to reharmonize this field. So it's a real honor and I appreciate you. And just for a few moments, Zoe's going to lead us in a quiet meditation to really hold this container. Now that we've acknowledged who we really are, we're creating a container of our own. And this container has the power of creation. When you create a container of this power, then you're able to do your manifestation work. You're able to do your creative work. You're able to call in a frequency of ease into your life and to open doors that otherwise felt blocked, if they are appropriate to your journey, we must say. So, Zoe, thank you.
Thank you. And so, and the energy is already, flowing so heavily. Whew. So I just invite everyone, if closing your eyes feels good to you, just let your eyes close, or just bring your gaze downward towards your nose, letting your shoulders relax, letting your feet sink to the ground, letting your seat relax, letting your brain relax. And if you find your brain starting to wander, just focus on your breath for a moment. Taking silent breaths together, in through your nose and out through your mouth. Not trying to change the breath, but just letting the breath be what it is. Letting your body do what it will, knowing that we were meant to be on this call, knowing that you can be fully present in this moment, knowing that we are co-creating together. And as Erika said, this is a continuation of the work that we've begun together on the Dream Time. So just allow your mind to be open, allow your bodies to be open. And even if everything we say doesn't make sense to your ears, know that on some level your soul, your heart, and the deepest part of your mind understands everything completely. And so within that thought process, I just ask you to just go into agreement with that higher part of yourself. The part of yourself that knows nothing but complete abundance. And we ask you to just open your mind to the possibilities. Open your mind to the vibration that we're co-creating on this call. Knowing that this is the next part of a journey that has begun long, long ago. And when you feel settled, and only when you feel settled, allow your eyes to slowly open. Ashe.
Beautiful container. Thank you for guiding us into this place of resonance and coherence. This is how the new paradigm generation of soul shifters, we have many phrases for ourselves, come together. We cross different age ranges here. Some of us are early wave indigo children. We've grown now. Some of us are middle wave. Some of us are later wave indigo children. The indigos really began to start dropping down in what we call the baby boom generation. And that's why we had that first really big, amazing shift in our culture and a global culture. We had revolutions for freedom all over the world in the 60s. And we always want to remember the teachings of our ancestors as well as our elders. And when we open a space of coherence we really want to acknowledge the bridge and acknowledge all those who are holding doors open for us, and acknowledge that has moved on through the generations. And now we are laying down some very sturdy road and some very sturdy templates for those who are coming after us, for the what they calling crystal children and diamond children, variations on the theme. And they're vibrating at even a different frequency than us. This, our kids and nieces and nephews and students and so forth, all the young people are coming in their next level, and we know it. And know that it's important, that this is the work of conscious evolution. So that's what we as soul shifters are doing. So when we invite you to join us at any of the soul shifting retreats, we're inviting you to come into a place of coherence for close to a week, for 5 days, where we could just stay in this space with the tribe for 5 days and really do some intense illumination work. And that, in a nutshell, really is what we do together. And we're beginning our soul shifting journey at the equator, because what we really are is doing earth honoring ancestral work. We're practicing indigenous technologies. We're all apprenticing with our ancestors, regardless of whether or not we know it. And by going to the fattest central belly of the planet, we're connecting with her navel. We're working with her and saying, let me get back to that umbilical place, because I'm a bridge generation. And wow, it's like a war zone out here. It's very confusing. Things aren't what they were last year. For those of us who've been practicing for a period of time, we're like pinching ourselves or wondering what happens, because we just went from being like very afraid or very closeted around showing ourselves to suddenly being kind of popular for it, or people are curious. There's a mass awakening happening. And because the adjustments are happening, we really do need to tune in to how we're adjusting to the adjustment. Make sure that we are upgrading our own selves, like how that computer has to do an update all the time. We have to make sure we're doing our updates, that we're keeping ourselves up to speed and not leaning back on some of our old ways of being, especially since some of us are moving forward at sort of a quantum rate right now. Some of us are awakening, and it's like, who am I and where am I? And with that said, we get back to this container of manifestation. How do I call forth my highest, best destiny, my actual purpose for being alive at this time? How do I call it forth? For me, I'm going to begin that part of the conversation, the alchemy of manifestation, by talking about obstacles. We have pre-programmed, limited belief thoughts. For me, like I said, if I'm working like this in the 90s and the 2000s, I'm basically under a cloak constantly, because people are not like hip to this kind of work, except for only the people who are hip to it. And anybody else, want to ask me, questions. They want to question me with their eyes real close on my eyes. Like, is this okay? Are you okay? Are we okay? Is this safe? And so for me to really do my own manifestation work, I have to realize that I developed patterns of cloaking. I developed some patterns of insecurity. I have a lot of fear-based mechanisms in there. And I'm not just speaking for myself. And then voices from my family, teachers, well, you can't do that. That's not really a profession. Like, why would you waste your education and your intelligence on pursuing natural medicine and energetic healing and shamanism? This doesn't make any sense. You've gone to a good college and our families worked very hard for you. Despite the good intentions that came there, those have created limiting beliefs that I have to address before I sit down and do my candle magic or my moon magic or my manifestation magic, whatever that may be. Because if I'm blocking myself, or if the little running machine in the back of my mind is saying, who do you think you are? You're not the person to do this. How are you going to be holding space like this for all these people? These people are all gorgeous. You're looking at them. Listen to those voices and don't just say, shut up. Listen and address them. And if you have to have a meeting with the 20 different ones of you that are in there talking, then you need to sit there and you need to have that meeting. You need to have everybody come forward, air their grievance, which is going to turn out to be a fear that's a protection for you. Every grievance in your mind, if you talk to it, is going to eventually tell you, I'm afraid you're going to get hurt. I'm afraid you're not going to be able to live. I'm afraid you're going to be disowned. I'm afraid that you will, stumble and not be able to get up. Each grievance should not be told, shut up or go away, or I'm doing something to dissociate you. I'm treating you like a trauma. Because we're all carrying traumas too, so we're all pretty wicked at our ability to dissociate and compartmentalize because we're living in a war zone. Let those little protectors come up, air their grievances, and be given a hearing. You need to listen to each one, journal it out, write it out, and be very specific with yourself. If it's something that's shameful to you, like let's say it's, well, what if you're worshiping the devil? What if you're going to go to hell? Some of us have those thoughts because, of course, that's really put in from our culture, but we're a little bit embarrassed to say it out loud. We're a little bit embarrassed to say, I'm thinking like that. I want to think I'm a more evolved person. I'm embarrassed that that's a thought. You need to take and really thank that part and let it air itself out. I mean, if there's a part of you that doesn't want you to go to a place that's been taught to you as eternal damnation, well, that's a strong part. You really do need to talk to that part. That part's a heavy protector. That part's like, no, I really need to cover this first, because if there really is the fire and a pitchfork, like, no, we are not taking any risk with that. So, and that might be your grandmother's voice or your mom's voice, So that is the first step. That's really where I'm opening the door to all manifestation work and all conscious evolution work, is to really let that shadow side, all of that dark voice or that stuff that we like to quiet down, air them out and let everybody come up and put their grievance. Don't judge yourself. Don't be mean to yourself. Don't put yourself down. Just admit it. This is who I am. These are my complaints. Handle them, and then this huge space begins to open up. A space of clarity that you actually didn't even know you were capable of having. Those voices are shocking in their ability to take up space and create smoke and mirrors and cloudiness. So you open up that amazing space. And it's like when a really foggy day, for those of you who've ever been to the kind of environments that have real fog. If there's real fog, you have no idea what's on the horizon. And that fog clears and you're like, wow, there's a river in front of me. Or wow, there's an entire mountain range over there. I had no idea. That's what we're talking about. So step one, allow the voices, listen to the obstacles, listen to those fear-based mechanisms, love them, acknowledge them, undo them, and deal with them. Ashe. In Singapore?
Yeah. Medea, can you mute your mic? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. All right, let me figure that out.
Got it. Thank you. Welcome. The part that I'm going to discuss is vision, and how that is a crucial part of manifestation. And so in my work, what I have come to recognize and accept about myself, which also speaks to what G was talking about, the understandings and the evidence and experience that many people have witnessed throughout my life, and particularly in these last couple of years of being more visible for the different gifts and truths and magic that I share and give to the world is I am a master manifester. That is something that I've had to own. I freak myself out often in that, and freak other people out. But it is something that I recognize within myself, and a part of that I feel comes from having a life vision. And so, in thinking about and understanding the importance of having a life vision, to be able to manifest the experiences, opportunities, and relationships that are in alignment with your vision, is you have to start there. And a part of that, with what G was talking about, and I use the language as chains. So those lies that we've been told about who we are, that negative self-talk, different oppressive ideologies that we've inherited and internalized, be it patriarchy, sexism, the chain of unworthiness, inadequacy, things like that. Those are chains that keep us from being exactly who the Creator designed us uniquely to be, each of us uniquely to be. And so a part of that work is identifying those chains. And what has been my process and what I use to support and coach other people is asking a question of, what does the unchained you look like? So what does the unchained you look like mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, sexually, financially? And really being able to process, what is your vision? What is the unchained vision you have for yourself in each of those areas? So what does freedom look like? What does the liberated you look like? And from there, that is where you can start visioning. So what would it look like for me to be unchained emotionally? How would I show up? How would I move through the world? How are my relationships different? How honest am I? Am I speaking my truth? Am I allowing myself to feel? Am I no longer dehumanizing myself and not allowing myself the full range of human emotion that we often say, different systems of oppression perpetuate onto us, dehumanizing us? And how do we do that with ourselves? And so being able to go within and have those conversations to without heat, without judgment, and being able to just be honest and tell the truth. And so a part of it is being able to bring light to the situation and being able to identify clearly where we are chained. And it is also crucial that this work not be done alone. In emotional emancipation circles and different healing spaces that I host, and in soul shifting retreats, this is the opportunity to be around people who are doing that same work. And we may be on different stages in our journey and experiencing and have different processes. We are all moving toward a collective shift of elevating our consciousness. And we can't do it alone. We need someone to be able to, or a few folks to be able to, one, remind you that you are not crazy, and to really be able to talk through these things and process what you're experiencing. So in thinking about identifying what does the unchained you look like, that's when you can start moving into manifestation of, if the unchained me looks like this emotionally, that I am I'm speaking my truth authentically and honestly. I am owning my shit and making sure that I am using that same process to go within before I am, either accusing someone or encouraging someone to own their stuff. And so what does that look like? And then when it comes to visioning, even thinking about how you want to be mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you can simply start asking yourself in any moment, is this in alignment with my vision? And that can go with relationships, that can go with business opportunities, that can go with, going to a particular event. Is this in alignment with my vision? If my vision emotionally is to experience an abundance of joy, I am going to look for, or actually when I put that out, the things that are joy for me are going to come to me. And I can simply ask, is this in alignment with my vision? And when you have a vision of abundance of joy and are moving and operating in that, so much opens up. Where you can simply say, yes, this is in alignment with my vision, and not be tied to the outcome. That's also one of the crucial pieces of manifestation, is that when you are moving through the world in your vision and simply making decisions of, is this in alignment with my vision? And if it is, you go with it and not be tied to the outcome. Be thankful for the experience, whatever the experience is. And whenever there's a shift and it is no longer in alignment with your vision, you have the ability and the power to make a conscious choice to do something else with no heat, no judgment. It's just, this is no longer in alignment with my vision. And even when I have some clients that are dating, and being able to encourage them, of being able to say, you're not in alignment with my vision. And having that be, and even with business opportunities or things like that, there's not much that many people can say when your no is, this is not in alignment with my vision. And then you're able to move forward, and you're not just filling yourself and your environment with things because you're either telling yourself a story about what you should do, or what you think you should do, what other people are telling you should do. And so when it comes to that manifestation, and it is crucial to be able to know your vision, and to know that, similar to in thinking about Ecuador, when I found out about it 2 weeks after I got back from Cuba, and Zoe shared with me, she saw a picture and sent a message like, you need to come with us to Ecuador. And I was like, what's in Ecuador? And she sent me the link that talked about the soul shifting retreat. And I read it, and it immediately resonated with my spirit of being able to be around people who are also on the path of conscious evolution and are doing the work with indigenous technology, and to be a way to really focus on our collective evolution and our individual. That was in alignment with my vision. And I just said, okay, and put the intention out there and released it and let it go. And things and opportunities just came my way to make that possible. And it wasn't anything that I was stressing about. It's putting the intention out there into the universe and releasing it and letting it go. And whatever way it is able to come to you, trusting, and moving in that. And that release has been the most crucial part for me, of being, releasing and letting go, not being tied to the outcome. Because oftentimes what that does, if we're so tied to it and we're gripping it, the energy that we are putting out there is one of doubt, anxiety, worry, and fear. And so we confuse ourselves in that. So yeah, that's been my experience of using that visioning process to ground myself, and just clearly asking, is this in alignment with my vision? And if it is, I let it be so. Zoe?
Yes. So I want to sort of build on what you both laid out. So when, G is talking about sort of clearing away the shame, addressing the voices, addressing the doubts, that's sort of the first piece of the manifestation puzzle in a way, is getting clear about sort of what it is that you want to manifest, first of all, right? Creating that space within your body where that's even possible, right? So first clearing away all that clutter to sort of get if our body is a container, which is how we like to talk about the body. So clearing out that container first to say, okay, what is it that I want? What is it? And then moving into what Erika was talking about, what does the unchained you look like? What does freedom look like? And creating that vision of what your life looks like. So then my part of the process then is the feelings, right? So once we've cleared out the clutter and then we have a vision of our life, for me, I follow my feelings towards manifesting, right? So first I might create a vision of whatever it is that I want to attract in my mind. So for example, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, probably longer, I said I want to do retreats, international retreats, right? At that time, it was with women of color in particular. And this is how I approach anything that I want to manifest. So then I said, okay, what does that look like? Okay. So then I immediately put myself into that space of, where am I? What does the beach feel like? Who's with me? What am I wearing? And I fill in every piece of the picture, everything that I want to create in my mind. I always do that. So when I wanted to move to Brooklyn, I went and I found a picture of a brownstone because I wanted to live in a brownstone. I made that my screensaver at work. So every morning when I woke up, I turned on my computer. The first thing I saw was that brownstone. And I was living in Florida. And my boss came in and she was like, oh, why do you have that brownstone on your computer? And I was like, oh, I just really like brownstones. But really what I was doing is I was programming my mind like, I'm about to be out of this job. I'm about to be leaving Florida and I'm moving to New York. And so I do things to sort of trick my brain and work with my brain by using visuals and feelings, right? So I would imagine myself sitting in my apartment in Brooklyn, looking at the snow, looking at my apartment. What do I have on? Imagining myself walking down the streets, doing all those things. There was an apartment that I wanted to live in when I lived in Atlanta. I would go to that apartment like 3 days a week and I would just sit in my car and I would just look, because it was a loft apartment, and I would just look at, and I would see myself going into that loft, going into that apartment, paying the money, driving in and out. So I put myself physically into that space. So again, just building on what they were talking about earlier, but also paying attention to my body. So, because the other part of it is believing that it's available to you, because that's a huge part of blocking our manifestations, is because of the things G was talking about, because of the oppressive systems that Erika's talking about. We have all these beliefs around what is possible for us, what we can and cannot achieve. So if there's something that I am trying to manifest, if I check into my body, and usually I feel things in my stomach. So if I feel any kind of like flutter in my stomach, I know, oh, there's too much heat. Like the word you use is heat. It's the same word I use. There's too much heat around that topic. So then I know now is not the time to try to do that manifestation. So I'll focus on something else because I know, oh, I don't really believe that's possible right now. So I'll leave it alone. And I'll practice my manifestations on things that don't have enough, a lot of heat for me, because the more beliefs you have around it, the harder it is to manifest, because you are attached to that outcome, like Erika was talking about. So I'll just leave it alone, and then when I'm in a happy space, when I'm in a believing space, I'm in my power, then I'll go back and I'll sit and I'll do that manifestation meditation piece. The blocks. Oh, and so for me, when I'm starting my manifestation process, I do that alone. I don't tell anybody what I'm manifesting or what I'm attempting to manifest until I see it begin to materialize. Because sometimes, you have these unconscious fears, and people have fears also. And sometimes if I'm talking about what I want to manifest, all of a sudden it's like the opportunity has drifted off into the wind. You know, there'll be like a job or something, and I'll get excited and I'll call people and I'll be like, oh, this is happening. This is going to happen. And then the opportunity just fades away. And a lot of times it's because you have these unconscious fears, and then they have fears or jealousies or whatever. And sometimes that can muddle the energy. And so I make sure that I have a fully, that my manifestation is clear. And then when it starts to manifest, I hope this is making sense, but when it starts to sort of take shape, that's when I tell people what I'm manifesting. But in the baby forming stages, I just keep it quiet, or I tell like one person that I know I can trust that's on the same vibration as me, and so that they can go into agreement with me about that manifestation and build that energy. Right. So the other thing I do is, just getting into a habit of setting intentions on a regular basis of things that I may want to manifest daily. I used to say, I'm in the right place at the right time, meeting the right people that can help me on the next stages of my adventure. And I would say that every single day. That was sort of the affirmations that I would do. And so getting into that habit of, because again, it's so much of it is about tricking the brain. And, the thing with the brain is that it can't tell the difference between today, tomorrow, or yesterday. And so that's why visualization works, because you're putting new pictures into your mind, new possibilities, and then your brain, and spiritually, energetically, I don't know how it works, I just know it does, pulls those pictures down, makes it into matter in a way, and then it manifests on this plane. What else do I do? So sometimes I imagine my manifestation as matter in the air or on another dimension, and I physically see myself pulling it down from the sky and forming on this planet, right? And so let me manifest this now. And then I might say something like, I know my words don't come back void. So I do a lot of affirmations. I do a lot of intention setting. And then I do the visualizations. I used to do vision boards a lot because, again, it's about re-imprinting your brain with what you want to see happen, right? So if I wanted to go to Ecuador, what would I be doing? I would be pulling out pictures of the beach. I would be finding information about Ecuador. I would be looking up, I would just make that my world so that I'm putting myself in alignment with the energies that are going to manifest that for me. So that's in a nutshell what I do as well. So I don't know if Erika or G wants to add something, or if folks have specific questions.
Yeah, I wouldn't add anything. I think in you sharing your process, it resonated a lot with me, and even in particular, the visioning is something as far as visualization. So visioning and visualization are different, and then recognizing what you were describing with visualization, that's absolutely something that I want to add more into my practice. And even particularly with going back to Ecuador, like I was in this flow before, like, cause I manifested Cuba and manifested like working with you, right? Like we met each other in New York,
right?
So it was like and it was so interesting because I remember when I first was introduced to Black Witch Chronicles, I immediately was like, oh shit, that's my tribe. Like, okay, so how are we gonna make this happen? And it just, put it out there for myself. It wasn't even anything like active or anything like that. It was my spirit was just like, okay, you found them. Mm-hmm. Watch all the videos, take it all in. Mm-hmm. And then, having that just show itself over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And so now what I recognize, particularly when we talk about obstacles, right? Like and not being tied to the outcome. Most recently, we had issues with our car that cost $1,200. And so again, that was what I was going to be putting toward the trip as well. But again, having to get my children back and forth to school, things like that. And so being in a different place than what I was last year, or earlier this year, rather, that was a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Finding that energy again, but recognizing that I'm going to need a different tool to help me manifest.
Yes.
To support me in manifesting, because the energy is different. You know, with the summertime, everything is like up and moving, and things now are a lot more dormant, where it's going to, for me, what I'm experiencing is going to take me a different energy and different tools and protocols to be able to manifest that.
Mm-hmm.
And be in a place where I can set the intention and let it go and be open to receive.
Mm-hmm.
And winter months and fall months are very hard for me in that, because I'm automatically going into like hibernation mode and like, leave me alone. Like, I'm not trying to manifest work or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So visualization definitely, from what you were sharing, it definitely helped me to think about some different tools and protocols that I can employ.
Right.
But I know you need to get off at 9.
Yeah, well, or a little later, because now I'm in the flow.
Okay. Of course.
So the energy takes over.
Right. But yeah, so I'll kick it to G, and if we want to open it up for folks to ask questions, if you had anything else, G.
Yeah. One had a question. We have some questions in the chat. So Erika and Zoe, go check that out, because there was a question to be a little bit more clear about the difference between visioning and visualization.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'll address that a little bit right now. Look, Soul Shifting Retreats is a global movement. And it is a global movement where we are apprenticing with the planet Earth. It is an Earth-guided movement. And this Earth-guided movement came to us through vision. We didn't think of it and then begin to visualize it.
That's right.
It showed up as a vision that we then chose to or to not pursue.
Right.
In the act of pursuit of Soul Shifting Retreats, we then began to do visualizations.
Right.
I began to visualize all of you coming together for this meeting tonight.
Right.
Before our June solstice event, we all did visualization work. We would go in our dream time and say, we're officially energetically calling our tribe towards us, because this is a large global project, and it's being led by Pachamama, the earth. So when I get a vision, that's visioning work. When I choose to actively be what we would call a conscious evolutionary, that's when I start to use my visualization, because now I'm consciously choosing to follow a vision that came to me. So that's one example of how the vision and the visualization is happening. 16 years ago, I got a vision of doing shamanic, energetic work. And really the vision was like building altars. What I saw was altars. I saw stone cairns. They're called apachetas in South America. I saw stone cairns being built at different power centers on the earth. And it was a way to network. I was clear that because that's what apachetas do. It's a networking. It's like creating your own World Wide Web. It's already there. What you're doing is you're tapping the ley lines. So if any of you are familiar at all with acupuncture, it's really like giving the earth an acupuncture treatment. And so each location that we will meet at over the coming years with Soul Shifting Retreats is actually a needle. We are the needle. We need a group of us to come together to create a frequency strong enough to be a vibrating needle for the actual planet Earth, for Mother Earth. You know, it's okay to be one person, but it's she needs, she's big. She needs a strong frequency at particular places where ley lines connect, certain power points. Which is why we're starting at the navel. We're down here by the equator because we want ourselves to move in alignment. But did I think of that? Did I think, where exactly are we going to start? No, I just kept putting the vision out there, and that's where I started to do my visualization. And then Ecuador found me. Ecuador means equator. Ecuador was like here, of course. This is where 16 years later, you do this. Now, letting go of the outcome is important because, we're not just coming together and building apachetas. It's not just, me going around and building altars. It's what it is. So when you let go of the outcome, that's how you manage to wait 16, 20, 25 years. For some things you have to really allow to unfold because it's not just your idea. The planet has to be ready. Your tribe, in my case, like for this project, I needed to be well aligned with all the appropriate people, with the whole soul shifting team. There needed to be an awakened, illuminated, critical mass of people who were willing to work with us, which means we had to do groundwork to make ourselves visible and available in advance to that group of people so that we weren't just coming out of the blue. So it means that I had to continue my apprenticeship. Zoe had to continue her apprenticeship, and Zinga had to continue her apprenticeships. We all had to continue working and doing what we were doing to evolve ourselves, which includes taking care of children, family members, helping our elders. It includes keeping house. It includes some drudgery work just to maintain bills and rent. It includes falling in love and getting heartbroken. It includes all of everything that you do up until now. That's the genius of you. And that's why getting rid of that mess, which is what I talked about, is important, because it's very hard to appreciate the genius of yourself when it's filled with critiques, when it's filled with failed relationships and jobs that were halfway done, rather than I've had a wide range of experience. It's like, oh, I can't keep a steady job. Rather than I've been a brave, courageous person, it's, oh, I don't know, I just keep flaking out. So just all of that is how we do our visioning, our visualization, and our manifestation. So what I will say to you is thank you all for being here. I really appreciate you all because to be holding a vision for 16 years is very different than to be seeing it before your very eyes. So when I look at your faces right now, I am overwhelmed with joy and frankly shock, because faith is funny. I mean, even faithful people, there's just a time when it's out there, it's still not in front of you. And to be in this position, I just want to be as transparent as possible, is such an honor and it's such a pleasure. And I have to pinch myself constantly that we're doing this. Like, how did I even manage to get myself to Ecuador? I'm a trapped person too. I was trapped in business and work and family and requirements and financial constrictions. And it was much as this was a vision for me to be able to live out of the country and co-create this work and go deeper into my shamanic apprenticeship so that I could hold this kind of space to make sure that I'm walking my talk. Again, that was just a vision. Like, how was I going to do that when I was covering bills and taking care of people and so on and so forth? By holding the vision and letting go of the outcome, it happens for me. And it happened. There was life and there was death. There was all kind of change that sometimes felt like destruction. To be honest, it was preceded by great loss, the doorway for me to get here. The loss of one of my most beloved elders of my life was really the final doorway that got me here. So we have to be open to how those doors open, and not be afraid to walk through doors that are sometimes very daunting, because assisting for years with crossing over one of my most beloved elders was, to say the least, a very daunting doorway for me. But immediately as she transitioned, I felt her just carry me and miraculously plop me right here at the equator in everlasting summer and paradise, and then open up this 16-year vision for me. It's amazing. It's really, really amazing. And that's like that real power of letting go of the outcome. Doing your manifestation work and then really trusting that your work is coming forward. Even if the road is so twisty and turny, you feel like you've lost your way. That's really it. And when we come together in retreat as soul shifters, then we don't have to have that quiet. We can talk about what we're manifesting with each other. We can support each other. We can raise that vibrational frequency. So, keep yourselves attuned to what we're all doing. Soulshiftingretreats.com, easy to find. We will be not only at the equator in Ecuador this December solstice for a 5-day retreat and shamanic apprenticeship in indigenous technologies, global indigenous technologies. But we will be at other locations across the globe coming up. So be sure and get on the mailing list. If anyone else has any questions, you can, there's a way to raise your hand in this thing. You can just unmute yourself and ask a question, or you can write a question into the chat, because we do have a little bit of time to answer any questions about manifestation or any of the steps of manifestation that we talked about. Also, any questions that you may have about the retreat, getting to Ecuador. What's that called? Affordable.com. There's a new Black-owned way to get your airplane tickets.
Mm-hmm.
That was an important thing to talk about. So there's a new Black-owned company that'll let you put your airplane ticket on layaway.
I can find it.
So that's something to investigate, because layaway is back, and it's back for air. We leave it to Black folks. We know. We were all like, what happened to layaway?
And I also want to say, as far as the retreat, I will be going deeper into actual manifestation meditations this time around. We didn't do that the first time. So we'll be doing more actual work with folks on manifestation. So know that's happening. I'm trying to find that airlines.
I found it.
Rose put it up. It's in the chat. It's Rose
Perfect.
popped it up. It's in the chat. So that airfordable.com's there. Also, y'all, you see how sincere we are? It's for real. This is the vision guided by, I'm going to repeat, Mother Earth. Okay, this is not a hustle. This is 16 years later, I'm listening to the planet Earth. So if your spirit says you need to be here, you need to contact us and arrange some kind of way to pay in the kind of installments that works for you.
Yeah.
This is not a hustle. This is a planetary healing mission. This is the coming together of a tribe. This is the next 7 generations on our hearts. It's serious.
Yeah.
So don't think, I don't have that kind of credit card. We're not going to charge you interest. It's better than a credit card. It's not going to mess up your credit rating. You have to look in your heart and say, am I an honorable person who can do this? But that goes back to step 1. People don't want to take their time to put their resources on this kind of work. If your job said, you got to do a $3,000 continuing education thing, then that's, the state requires it, you'd grumble and mumble and go in and do it.
That's right.
But to have yourself come out here and do something completely evolutionary, frankly, PhD level continuing education program, it's like, well, do I deserve that? How am I going to go out here and do some hardcore, I'm in control of being a bridge generation for the coming 7 generations in a new paradigm? There's that too. You got to check that stuff. People are putting out, people coming out of graduate school 80 grand in debt and mad that they didn't enjoy themselves and that they're not even going into the field. So there's a lot of funny decolonization we got to do where we're willing to put our resources and what we're willing to do.
Right.
If I was the preacher and I was threatening you with the devil and said you have to tithe, well, then it would be easier. But to just say we're cool, we're trying to follow Mother Earth, we are mostly putting our energies into apprenticing with Mother Earth, so we don't have time to really hustle you. And, just let's do this thing, because we're going to end up in the grave one day too. It's a nice short life. It's a long life and it's a short life. All we can do is lay down our tracks, stand on those ancestors' shoulders. And when we go, make sure our shoulders are real nice and sturdy. And we feel good about what we're leaving for them to stand on us.
Ashe.
And that's one way to look at the journey.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. It is the next step in a long journey that, began before we even got together on this call. This is a long, this is a logical next step, I like to call it, in our journey. So we've got about, it looks like 18 people total on the call, so maybe 15 folks on the call. So we can take some questions if y'all have any. Or you can put them in the chat.
Mm-hmm. www.airportable.com. That's that website, airportable.com. You got to check it out. I think it's kind of a new thing, layaway for your airplane flights. No further questions. We must have did a good job, y'all. We covered information.
Yeah, we just, they're just like, we're coming. We just, we thanks y'all. No questions, no comments.
Well, here we go.
Okay, good.
Yes. Have you noticed the shift in people's lifestyle changes in people's lifestyles? Let me see. That's a good question, actually. Have you noticed the shift in people's lifestyle changes?
Is that since the retreat, or is that overall in general, Carol?
Overall.
Yeah.
Overall. So those of you who are moving on and who are saying thank you, we really want to say thank you. You're welcome. It was our pleasure, and thank you. Overall, I can't believe, I know you must have seen the changes, seriously. People have been shifting. People are open to stuff they weren't even open to. Yeah, people are changing their lives. What about y'all?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we've got, 17 folks on this call having this conversation. I mean, the fact that we can openly talk about manifesting and, gathering and at the equator. Times are definitely changing. People are, I look to my own family, like my sister buying crystals now, my sister who's been going to church forever. And she's like, take me to get this crystal, and people sending me different texts. What crystal should I get? What book should I buy? What spiritual bath should I get? People are definitely opening their minds to another way of being.
Right, and that it's not religious, that it's not in an interference with their religious practice. People, I find that's probably, because I'm contemplating that question, it's deep. The biggest change is people are willing to have a spiritual journey that isn't tied to a dogma. Because any of the earth-honoring traditions are just what they are.
Yeah.
It's just, we live on planet Earth and we're using earth-honoring technologies. It's just technologies of the planet. It's basically science. And it's period. It's just science. And the fact that people are open to that is, for me, the most exciting.
Yeah.
That people will come to Mesa Lodge with every kind of, from every walk.
And how many people are taking herbs now, so-called mainstream people? How many people are drinking smoothies and juicing? And, people are definitely making shifts. There's a little health food store here where my mom lives in Hartford, and I used to be like the only Black person in that health food store. And now every time I go in that health food store, it's 2 women of color working behind the counter. It's always like older Black women coming in, older Black men, coming in. And it's like, wow, people are really trying to get it together, stepping away from this Western medicine. It's just, I think that overall, of course you're going to have folks that are not, but I think there is a definite shift happening, or we wouldn't be here, right?
Yeah, I would say the same. People are a lot more open and curious. I would say is the most the word that I would use. People are a lot more curious, and they're going to the folks who are familiar with crystals and have been talking this language for years, and they're seeking us out. So yeah, I've definitely seen a shift. I do want to say just now, because even I'm not trying to, I am manifesting being there in December beyond financial limitations perceived financial limitations that I'm experiencing now. I just saw a flight from JFK to Ecuador for $430.
I need to book my flight.
Right. So for me, I'm thinking like what I did last time. I took a $20 bus to New York a few hours before my flight, and then brought, when I came back, took another $20 bus to get home. They're about $200. I'm in DC. So the DC flights are about $200 more. So if folks are in the area or close by or can get to New York in a way that's a little less expensive than flying out to where you are, it's been successful for me. I think my flight lasts in what was it, June? It was June, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was maybe $350. And I flew in on what I just searched was flying in on the Tuesday before the retreat starts. So I want to say that's the 15th.
Okay.
And then flying out on a Thursday.
Yeah.
Because Tuesdays and Thursdays are if you fly Tuesday and Thursday, the flights are usually cheaper on those days.
What was that price again?
$430. Okay. So what I'm looking at, it's LATAM Airlines, Ecuador. Okay. The flight rating is poor. It got a 1.5 out of 10.
Uh-oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
It's a 1. I'm just saying that is what it is. I was real excited, and then I was like,
well.
But the next flight up is $540, and that's a 6.8 rating or 7.8 rating. So
it can be done. The air, what is it called? Terminal that you fly. What's it called?
The terminal or the airport?
Yeah, the airport. Wow. Somehow airport and airplane were the same in my mind. This is a problem when you have two different languages in your head. The airport is Guayaquil Airport. I wrote it down in the chat so you can see how it's spelled. Guayaquil, Guyaquil. Guayaquil Airport. So Guayaquil, Ecuador. The retreat is from the 17th. This retreat, the December retreat is from, airport code is GYE. The retreat is from the 17th to the 21st. So you need to build in some travel days. People will be arriving that whole week before. We got a nice rate for the extra days. The tuition covers meals and 5 nights. If you build in any extra days to have travel time and to be like, well, if I'm gonna come all the way to Ecuador, let me be here for a few more days. Come early so you can be pieced out. It's $25 a night, including breakfast, and you can feed yourself for real cheap if you want.
And the food is so good. Ooh.
Yeah, it's nice.
And
we got a really nice rate. She's
still cooking our lunch?
Yeah, Antoniette is still cooking that lunch.
Ooh. Oh my God.
It just blanks you out. It really blanks you out. It's so easy to do the work. The thing is all this stuff that we talk about is hard to do because we're all working our butts off, and we try to do it in our so-called spare time where our minds are racing like beasts. When we get down here, there's nothing doing. I mean, you are not at no sandals resort. You're going to be like in a very, not like kind of the middle of nowhere on the beach. Like that stuff you see on TV, you'll be there. And it's easy to blank your mind out. Like it's like just the environment itself, like immediately it's like you went to yoga for 20 hours.
Yeah.
You just cool. You wake up and you feel like you're in a dream, and then you can start doing your work because you kind of stay in that dream state. So anybody who can build in the extra time, I know it might be harder to build the after time because Christmas comes right after that. If you can build in any extra time to come in the beginning, do so, just to get yourself really situated in the dreamy zone, because it's pretty nice. And that's why we get so much work done. We get so much healing, illumination, people get new names, new identities. All of this goes down because the place itself flings you. It doesn't even fling you. It's like going to sleep. It's like you go to sleep, you wake up, and you don't come out of a dream for as long as you're there, and you're able to get so much work done. You just immediately switch because the container holds you differently.
Yeah.
So travel on the 15th or 16th if you can. We're going to be in the Mesa Lodge in ceremony first thing in the morning on the 17th. And we will be we'll have spare time, we'll have ceremony time, we'll have healing time, we'll have fire ritual time, we'll have grief ritual time, we'll have it all.
Party time, dance time.
Yeah, we'll have all the things we need. And that'll go until the 21st.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to leave, you want to leave late on the 21st because we'll wrap up in the afternoon and then you got to journey yourself a few hours back to the airport. But we'll give you all of that information.
Yeah.
If and when you contact us. So you can holler at any of us through any of the many social media.
And we do have the Soul Shifting Facebook page if you haven't seen that. So please like that, and you can, like any one of our pages or all of our pages so we can all communicate. This call is being recorded, so y'all will have a copy of that. The link as well.
Mm-hmm. And I take emails. I'll answer emails straight up. 5 directionswellness@gmail.com. 5directionswellness@gmail.com. Use the number 5, and I'll contact you. We can socialize. I'll have a chit chat with you. Whatever. You can ask me all kind of questions. If I don't get right back to you, it's because I'm like out in the forest somewhere without Wi-Fi, but I'll get back online eventually.
I just want to share this one last thing though. I'm thinking about visualization, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have to remember that just a few months ago, I was laying in a hammock in the rainforest listening to Prince. Like, that is, and then G came and put a blanket over me. And I was like, what is going on? Where am I?
Yes.
Like, and just remembering that wasn't last year. That was just a few months ago.
A few months ago, we were
oh my God,
our intentions into the fire, releasing into the fire, singing by the ocean.
Women naked in the ocean.
Okay, you wasn't supposed to share that part.
I'm sorry.
With the
that was a big deal for me.
It was. I haven't been the same since.
I couldn't keep my clothes on.
Me either. I can't. It's like, it's cold outside and I'm mad. I haven't been the same.
It's
yeah.
Visualization.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more, you and I.
Yeah. Thanks, Zoe.
Yeah.
Thank you, Soul Shifters.
Yeah.
Thank you to the love for you is huge. My love for you, Nzinga Erika. My love for you, Zoe Flowers, is enormous. Everybody who joined this call, thank you. Everyone who's watching this call, thank you. The planet thanks you. The future thanks you. The past thanks you. And our concurrent and hard to describe quantum level dimensions, thank you.
Ashe.
I love you.
Bye, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye.
Those
Bye.
treats.